Hello, my viewing audience. I'm Shavini Nisbet, and I'm here with the Board of Directors of the program Each One, Reach One, a recently established NGO geared towards helping young women. So now I'm going to have the Board of Directors to introduce themselves.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Evelyn Hinville, and you are?
Good afternoon. My name is Zanella Claxton, and you are?
I am Michelle Slack, and you are?
I am Kamara Lee.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So could you tell us a little about Each One, Reach One?
Each One Reach One was the brainchild of Kamara Lee, Kamara Sulein Lee, and we assisted in bringing the NGO on stream.
Well, Each One Reach One was organized to assist young women 18 to 35 with regard to the day-to-day matters that we experience, and that we may need a mentor to walk us through some passage in life that may be difficult for us at the time. I think each of us at some point have had that. Maybe not have had it as we needed it, but we have at some point needed it in our life and needed another fellow human being to be with us. And so it was on that premise that our founders who thought of the idea, and it is a well-needed program for leaders.
So Kamara being the founder, or you're the person who is the brainchild, who was the brainchild of. Could you tell us what made you decide to start something like this, and what made you think of it?
Well, as my colleague Evelyn said, there is a need for mentorship or that guidance for young women in our society. Personally, throughout my life, there are persons who have helped to help me in terms of my direction, give me some sort of guidance or even some advice that helped to uplift me in some way. And on a daily basis, I come into contact with several young women across the island of Nevis. Some of them have questions, and they're just looking for somebody to have a conversation with to help them to come to some sort of decision or to weigh the options, not telling them exactly what to do, but to provide that guidance and support. And so because of what I've been through, the assistance I received, I decided that it is a good idea to start something, formalize it to help the young women on the island of Nevis.
What makes this organization unique, I think, is that generally when we think of mentorship, we think of children.
Right.
And we fail to realize that after a certain stage in life, we still need guidance, we still need assistance. And so it now expands to incorporate those who we might have left untouched and might have gone unnoticed for some time. And it gives them the opportunity to know that they also can be supported. And the hope is that when they get through these stages of their lives, that they then will become mentors. And so it's a sustainable program, and it's an opportunity for them to grow as well as the mentors.
Okay. So let's say a young lady hears of the program and she's interested. What are the steps, or what's the procedure?
Well, we have an application process. We have put in place a registration form, but before that, we will be advertising our number, which will be our main mode of contact, and the number is 869-661-1023. And so we will have that cell phone. One of us will have the phone at all times, and young ladies can contact us at any time. Once the contact has been made, one of our board members will meet with this young lady, and then we will share the application form and discuss with them more about each one.
And Celine would have mentioned young ladies widely. We're geared towards young women between the ages of 18 and 35. The application process itself, we hope to maintain it as one that is highly confidential because of the service we are offering. So once we are contacted by a telephone or a mobile phone, we reach out to the mentee and then we speak to them in person rather than having that person share the information with us over the phone. And then after that initial conversation with them, then we determine whether mentorship is the way to go, because we do understand that there may be some issues which would require something that is of a higher level than mentorship.
And that's one of the reasons why the Department of Social Services is also on board. And so in the event that it's something that needs more of an intervention, then that will be done. The contact will be made to the Department of Social Services, as they are already aware of the program and of the organization and what we have to offer. This will be a good time for us to mention our core values of confidentiality, accountability, trust, and respect.
And speaking about confidentiality is a very big thing for us. And because we recognize, yes, we are pushing as what we consider and others might think a positive initiative, we still have to be realistic in that young ladies might want somebody to talk to, but they're afraid of people knowing. And so for that reason, we have put in place a confidentiality clause for both mentor and mentee. So in essence, what this states is that when you come to us, what you say to us stays with us, and the same applies.
And that is very important, especially for something like this.
Right,
Yes.
and it's not limited to those of us on the board. We're not the sole mentors, or we're not the only ones assisting in the program. We will have other mentors on stream who would also be bound by the confidentiality agreement between ourselves and the mentees who come forward as part of the program.
Do you have a limit for the number of mentees you're going to have at one point in time? At one point?
We have not actually specified a number. However, we would always understand our capacity and know that we are limited. It would be partially dependent on the amount of mentors that we have on stream, and we have to find a perfect balance between how many mentees a particular mentor can have. So at any given time. So we don't intend to accept everybody. And particularly initially, when at this stage, we don't assume or anticipate that we'll have a very large number of mentees on the program.
When do you think it's gonna start officially?
Well, our official launch date is April 27th. We have been doing work on this since last year, and we are officially going live on April 27th. That is our day when everybody everywhere will hear about each one. And I must add here that earlier I mentioned about reaching us via telephone. We are in an age or era where social media is taking over. We will also have a Facebook page, Each One Reach One. We can be contacted there, but as Michelle rightfully stated, that's the first point of contact. You send us a message, let us know if you are interested, and then we will reach out to you to discuss further. So we are not encouraging that any personal information be shared via this medium. In addition, we have set up an email address, which is eoro.skn@gmail.com.
So is there any training that will take place?
For our mentors, yes. We have had one session already, and we do want to have others where we just meet and go through what are some of the things we need to know in how to deal in a relationship, because you can expect that a relationship will be developed between the mentee and the mentor, and it has to, in order for that level of confidence and that level of trust to be developed, that you will develop a relationship. So in our training, we have to talk about those things, and we've had that level already. We've shared 2 books already with our mentors to understand the things you'll be dealing. How do you deal with a mentee who's stressed? How do you deal with a mentee who has a family relationship problem? How far do you go? How much do you hear before you see that, well, maybe it needs to be referred to a different level, different to you, to your level of competence. So it basically has been a training that we looked at those kinds of aspects in how do we relate as an individual to the mentee, and how do we relate to each other, because we too have to depend on each other as a resource. So we have to see ourselves as not only independent and dependent. with each other. We also look to see how we can look what other resources are there in Nevis that we can leech onto, we can glean from to learn so that we can develop our own interpersonal resource to then pass on to this mentee. So we see training as something that is ongoing, and we'll have to do different levels and different aspects. We have a training plan with a clinical psychologist who we hope to bring in to assist us with just understanding those aspects, those medical aspects, something that we don't want to thread onto and we are not competent to. Learn how to refer someone at a certain time and learn how far your capacity can your intake is. So those things we need to understand with each other and we don't take it lightly at all, that we understand that there are issues that we have to deal with in person's life. We all have them. And so it's just how to deal with it and make sure that we try to be a good mentor in the long run.
You mentioned books. You could tell us a little about the books, because I see everybody has the same books. So tell us about the books.
One of our trainers, who's a clinical psychologist, she sent us this book by John C. Maxwell, and it basically says Mentoring 101. It basically just brings down the aspects of mentoring. How do I create that right environment with the mentee? Is one of the questions, one of the chapters here. How do I help the mentor to do better at work, in their work relationship? How do I help them to do better in their family relationship? How do I help them to do better in their personal relationship? So these are the kinds of topics that are here. How do I help the mentee to lift themselves higher? So these are the kinds of chapters that are in this little book. And then this one is really a nice one. It talks about family development and how to give care, how to give care to someone else. And it talks about how to help someone with childcare. We may find a mentee that has a childcare problem, and there are suggestions in here how we can help that person. How you understanding healthy sexual development. You may have a mentee who has a teenager and don't understand how to. So we have to educate ourselves along the way as well in how to relate to some of the questions that may ask to us. How do you deal with a stressed out young mother? We have a lot of single mothers on Nevis. How do you help them to understand their stress level when they're dealing with a 2 and a 3-year-old by themselves? But those are things that our single mothers are going through on a daily basis, and that's that age group, 18 to 35. That is such a crucial age. That's when they're becoming mothers. That's when they're focusing on their careers. That's when they're focusing on marriage, and all those powerful things coming all together can weigh you down. And so those are the times of life that creates the most stressful situations for us. So I think in whatever we do, we have to go into references and make sure that we can give advice. So we are training and learning ourselves along the way.
I think Evelyn made a very valid point when she spoke of that age range of 18 to 35 being that pivotal time in a woman's life and in everyone's life. And I think that, especially from a youth development perspective, that's when most parents or persons are either having children or raising children. And if it is not done properly, then it's not just an issue of the mentees or the women, it's now an issue for society, because the children are not raised in a way that will reflect the morals that we want to see in our society. So in preparing them, in preparing the mothers or the women in the community, even if they're not mothers, to interact positively with others, it helps to also ripple effect. It helps to empower and develop our young people throughout.
So how would the NGO be funded?
All right, as you stated in your question, Each One Reach One is a non-profit organization. We have incorporated as a company, a non-profit company. And our scope is very expansive. We hope to reach a lot of young people, young women, And as Evelyn mentioned earlier, this would require training for the mentors as well as resources for the mentees. And in order to be able to do the projects or engage in the program in a meaningful way, we would need funding. We have, well, by the mere fact that we are a non-profit company, we hope to attract funding from organizations who may be willing to assist. Funding opportunities are available from organizations such as UNESCO, and we hope to take advantage of such as would be available to us. However, we are not limiting ourselves to any institution that is outside of Nevis, and we hope also that businesses, entities in our community could see the value in a program such as this, and in upholding their corporate responsibility, their social responsibility, contribute to the program by providing some sponsorship or assistance, monetary or otherwise, to assist in the program. Because a program such as this is necessary and very valuable in our community because of the things that are happening and because of the vulnerability of women, young women. And so we hope to attract funding. We are open and willing to accept sponsorship or assistance from anybody who may be willing to assist with the program.
Okay. So to wrap it up, I'm going to ask for each of you to give me some remarks. Any last words you want to give? I'm going to start with Kamara at the bottom of the table.
I want to encourage the young ladies to reach out to us for any sort of advice. It could be a personal problem, such as a relationship problem. It could be that you are wondering or looking to go off to university, but you're still unsure about which career path you want to take, whatever it may be. We are encouraging you to reach out to any of us. We are very approachable, and in addition to that, even if you bring a relationship problem to us, we don't attach any sort of judgment. So we are very open to discussion, and we welcome the opportunity to speak with you and to help you. And once again, our phone number is 869-661-1023. Our email address is eoro.skn@gmail.com, and you can also find us on Facebook, Each One Reach One.
Michelle, any last word?
I would say that when an opportunity such as this presents itself, one that is necessary, one that was not there before, and one that is for your own benefit, upliftment, self-fulfillment, and positive advancement, you should take advantage of it. So I would encourage any young person between the ages of 18 and 35, and particularly between 19 and 25, to take advantage of the program. We have young women like yourselves who are willing to assist, who are willing to share, who are willing to provide guidance in emotional issues, financial guidance, educational guidance. Take advantage of it, because it's not, we don't have a wide array of opportunities such as this for you to choose from. So now that we do have the opportunity, I would encourage young people to take advantage of it.
Donella?
I'd like to also join my colleagues in encouraging all young women between 18 and 35 to come on board with Each One Reach One. I especially want to appeal to them because they might be a bit worried when it comes to the confidentiality aspect. I think in a society where there have been many breaches of confidentiality, sometimes it's very difficult to trust that we will remain confidential. And so I think I want to specifically focus on confidentiality for a moment, and to let you know that the fact that we have built in a confidentiality agreement says that we are serious about confidentiality, and that when you come to Each One Reach One, we will do our utmost to ensure that everything that is done in your best interest, and that your development and your growth is at the forefront.
Evelyn?
Well, I think my wonderful team here have said everything possible. But you know, one thing I would just like to add, and really the fact about the confidentiality and trust is so important, and I think it was extremely important enough to us, as it was one of the topics that we discussed at all of our early meetings. So that was very crucial to us, and to have each mentor and mentee sign a confidentiality clause. I can remember Michelle belabeling the point, that we must have this. But I think in all the start of the group with Kamara's birth child, I think we have to also remember this thing that God created called the family. And in this day and time we tend to have such a breakdown in the family, and so we are seeing ourselves as an extension of that family to assist. There's some mothers who are having to work 2 and 3 jobs and are just not being able to get that focused time. Remember the days when we had that nuclear family, mom and dad. It's not like that anymore. And the mothers are being mothers and dads.
Right.
And so it's a difficult situation with all that the children have to face in this world today, with the technology, the TV, the cable, all the Western world situations that are impacting our culture. It's difficult for a single mother who just wants to go out to TDC and work and come home and take care of her child, and then she has to be faced with all that society has thrown at her all the time. So it's a lot, and we recognize it, and I think that's why as a group like this sees itself as an extension to that family that we used to have. We used to have the day when the grandmother was next door, auntie so-and-so was next door, and just down the road was great-grandmother was still alive. Well, many of us now today don't even have our grandmothers.
Right.
So this is where we need, our community and our society needs groups like Each One Reach One in order to be there as a sustenance for our young families. And we just want to make sure that we do the right thing and that our mentees understand that we're here.
So I would just like to join the board of directors of Each One Reach One in encouraging any young female who feels the need for help, and they can always reach out to any one of the young ladies here. And I find it's important in our community that we have organizations such as these, especially in these times, as Evelyn would have mentioned. So I wish the organization the best of luck, and I encourage everyone to support the organization, whether you want to be a mentee or you just want to be a strong support for this kind of organization. It's needed in our society. So thank you for viewing.